Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Chris Hawley. He has just released a fantastic new track called Lost and Found, and I'm super excited to talk to him all about it. Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me. And I'm excited about the new song, and it's doing great. It's
You
doing
should be
great.
excited.
I'm
Every
very
great song you should be very excited about.
thank you, and it is. It's definitely something to get your blood pumping when you get something out there and it starts to connect with people,
I
and it
fully
starts.
agree. Uh
So
yeah, man, let's kick it off, and I'd love to know what it's about, what this song means to you, what inspired it, any insight you have.
well, it's kind of a long, convoluted story, but kind of the short end of it. It's kind of my take or my addressing of the phenomenon known as ghosting. So it's kind of based off of being ghosted,
Mm.
and so I've not been ghosted before. So there's a learning curve to ghosting. So it's kind of based off of that concept, which I think that's why it's connecting with people. I'm not sure if they know that's what it's about, but somehow there's like a familiarity to it when people hear it. They're relating to the lyrics by and just the vibe of it, kind of like I kind of know what he's talking about, whatever their input is of their own personal experiences. But
Sure.
as it's starting to come out in some of the press and stuff that I wrote about ghosting, then I've even had more and more people contact me or comment stuff more than contact about, oh, I totally get it, or I'm totally into this tune, and I added this playlist, and it's on my ghosting playlist, as people have told me. Going
Sure.
on Spotify. So this is my ghosting list. I'm like,
Right.
that you're ghosting somebody or you've been ghosted. So,
Oh, it's
but
all
that,
too common nowadays, and it's the
yeah, and
worst feeling.
I'm a little bit older, so it's not as common for me. So,
Yeah.
kind of deal with that a little bit. I'm like, okay. And when I was younger, it was just they didn't call it ghosting, but it was the same idea. It just meant
Sure.
you didn't answer the phone when they called or
Right.
whatever. Whatever. There was no social media. They show up at the
Exactly.
door kind of thing, kind of the same thing. So,
Totally.
but about and it's real up tempo, and it's I went after this sort of raw production on it on purpose. I have a studio here in my building that I'm in here in Charleston, South Carolina, and so I can take my time. I own the studio, so I can
Oh,
spend
nice.
3 weeks on it if I want to spend every day on it. But I tend to like to record kind of raw and quickly on a lot of stuff, more sort of old school recording, where a lot of it's tracked, like one take type stuff, and go, you know what, that's the vibe. And so it's got kind of on purpose. I kind of went with this kind of punk rock kind of raw guitar tone, almost metal a little bit at times, but then also the vocals. Like I like Eminem a lot, and I like Sum 41 a lot, and bands
Totally.
like that. So it's almost like I'm kind of doing this rapping thing towards the end, and it's even hard for me to understand myself at times. But that's kind of the point. So
I
it's
was
like,
gonna
what did
point
I say
out, yeah,
there?
there's so much genre influence going on in one song, but you somehow, I mean, you make it work. You know what I
It's
mean? Obviously, it's an inspired song. It's better than just manufacturing a story that may or may not have happened, but the rawness of it really comes through. I personally didn't catch the ghosting part of it, my
that's fine.
listen.
That's fine.
However, this is why we do this, so we can get down to the bottom of what it's actually about. So,
Yeah, I didn't even want to. I almost a lot of times I've always left my songs. I'm not Bob Dylan or at that level, but I've always left them open to interpretation. I just don't discuss what they're really about because
right.
everybody it ruins it for people. I've had numerous songs ruined when the artist said, "Oh, I wrote this about picking flowers," and I'm like, I thought it was about driving a car, and then you're like, oh, okay, well now I don't relate to it as well. But with the
Exactly.
ghosting thing, it's just something that's it's more or less more from it's not like topical. Obviously it is topical
It's
and
extremely
current,
topical.
but for me it wasn't written because it's topical. It's written because it's something new to me, so it was a new experience and new life
Right.
experience to deal with. So it's something new for me to write a song about. So but that's why I've kind of come out and just said, that's what it's about. Eventually somebody's going to ask, this song's so odd and so strange. Even when I listen to it, and I appreciate you saying all the, hearing all the different sort of influences of music in it, because that's really what I was after with it too, is that it's really kind of all over the place a little bit. And a lot of people that have heard it so far and have reached out to me or talked to me about it, including press people or radio people and stuff,
Sure.
they're saying the same thing. They're like, their first impression is like, well, that was different. And then not different, like trying to say that, like, well, that was really terrible. So we'll just say it's different. It's
That's
just like, it
yeah.
just kind of yeah, it blows by you like a semi truck when you first hear it. It's like, what was that? It just comes at you fast, and I come out swinging right in the beginning. I mean, it's just comes out with a lot of attitude, and that's
I
probably that
understand.
Eminem
See,
kind of rap influence in it a little bit.
making a song that's different nowadays is kind of paramount to people talking about you. There's so much music that pigeonholes itself into being one genre, or it's just rock, or it's just pop, or whatever it is. But when you put something out there that actually like blurs the lines and brings things together, you cast a wider net for people that might enjoy it. Also, the fact that like you were you the sole producer on this?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I have a friend that works with me here,
Okay.
pretty much, and he came in and did some. He's more did more engineering work on it, where he came in and cleaned stuff up on it. But yeah, I just did it myself. I actually did it by myself. Usually, I have a friend or somebody that works with me here, kind of engineer some with me. But I mean, I know how to push the buttons. It's not too hard to hit record and set a compressor. So
Right.
so I just did it myself and tracked the vocals by myself when the building was quiet, or did it
Mhm.
later at night when everybody's left, and just did the whole thing myself. But the majority of the time, I usually have other people come in and kind of mix for me, or I'll mix it and then I'll have another person come in and do a final mix on it. But this one, this one's raw. I like the Clash and the Sex Pistols and all that '70s punk.
Totally.
I was a metal guy, and I like Eminem and rappers, and so it's like this weird mix of all that. So, and there's a lot of just
I mean,
even the vocal, all those vocal takes that people are going to hear on it. There's a lot of vocal stuff going on. And those are all just one take stuff. I didn't even, that was like scratch stuff in my mind at the time. And I thought, it's just the right vibe. And there's some of it's a little hard to understand. I think I even said some words backwards, like sort of dyslexia vocal.
sure, sure.
So it'll
It
kind of
doesn't
make
matter,
sense.
man. It makes
Yeah,
people think, it makes people stop, and if anything, it makes them listen again. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's kind of what you want as an artist nowadays, is to get ears on it and keep ears on it.
Yeah, and I mean, and I get it that everybody, it's so easy to quantize and just get everything really clean, or auto
Right.
tune or pitch or whatever you use. It's so easy to clean everything so much nowadays and to really slick every production up, to where that's I'm just sort of pushing against that, because I come from a different place musically, being a little bit older, so I like that
Yeah.
raw feel. And I can appreciate all the real sort of slick stuff where everything's real tight and the vocals are perfect, and everything is just perfectly set, into its spot.
I
But
fully understand.
this song's like a bar fight kind of. It's just like chaos of tracking a little bit, but that was the point. So
Right. That's actually something that I did want to ask about. You're no stranger to music. You've been around it for what, like 30 years more at
yeah,
this point.
yeah.
From the music that you were making in the past, more on like the heavier side, metal, thrash, etc.,
Mhm.
this is not that, but it's got glimmers and elements of it. Over the years, how have you made the decision to switch up that sound? Or do you have plans to just kind of, keep it loose and do what you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody tries to keep it loose and do what they want. I hope even all the younger musicians do, and
Sure.
I work with a lot of younger musicians too, and kind of encourage that. Obviously, if they're around me, they're going to get that mixed bag of influence when I'm producing all these other bands. But it is definitely, I've got that metal influence in there, but I left metal a long time ago, probably about '90 is when I was about out of it.
Okay.
Um, I'd been in it pretty big through the late '80s in LA, and based in Los Angeles scene, and the thrash scene, which is us out with Slayer and Pantera and the Motor, and those bands of the world at that time. It
Hmm.
predates Pantera a little bit, but they were with us when they were a young band out in Dallas and stuff, and
Sure.
hanging out. But so I just kind of burned out, and then I got into Bob Dylan and acoustic stuff, and lived with other rock guys in a house out in Van Nuys, California, and
There you
uh,
go.
cut my hair a little shorter and started listening to Bob Dylan. Try to have an intervention, and they're like, "What is wrong? What's wrong with you? There's something wrong. Why are you listening to this?" And
People evolve sometimes.
yeah, so it was like fraternity of metal, and why are you acting this way? One of them
Totally.
actually in that house was Mike Inez, who plays bass in Alice in Chains,
Oh,
and
jeez. All
then at
right.
the time, got the gig when he was living with us. He got the gig with Ozzy, playing bass for Ozzy Osbourne. That would have been No More Tears album, and he was with Ozzy till '93, and then joined Alice in Chains. But he's the one in the Alice in Chains Unplugged video. He has an acoustic bass on MTV.
Uh,
Wrote on it. Metallica was sitting in the front row at that concert.
that's
All the guys
awesome.
time, and he wrote, and that's when they cut their hair short, whatever year that was, a long time ago, 90s. And he wrote on the bass, "Friends don't let friends get friends haircuts," meaning like the TV show with, and because all the Metallica guys have short.
Exactly.
So I
That's
went
hilarious.
from my roommates before that. So there you go. It's like, what's wrong? Why'd you cut your hair?
Right. Well, people grow up and people change, but I understand there's definitely a look to the genre, and
Yeah. And now I got kind of
that's
weird
hilarious.
on here, so
Now
it's
you're
pretty.
making it work, man.
Yeah.
I think
So
I've had the same haircut my whole life. Maybe it's time I shake it up a little
I,
bit.
well, people go online. I had your haircut for at least a decade or longer, just until recently. This is the COVID. This is
Pretty
the let
much.
it go, bro. So
Oh
you know,
yeah.
I'm trying to get my dreads back. It's like,
Yeah, man.
wow.
Who
It's
needs
just
to
like,
pay for haircuts anymore?
that's right. It's that whole. I blame everything on COVID. Is I could get my haircut during COVID, and I
Pretty
just have got.
much. Um, so you've given me a pretty good idea of your process as a musician. I mean, at least on this song, it feels pretty loose. It feels like it
Oh,
kind of comes together when it comes together, and try not to spend too much time on it. But is that the approach to this song, or is that kind of to like your discography as a whole?
that's me pretty much. But at
All right.
times I'm a little deeper in on production on my own personal stuff. Now, stuff that I work on, it's a whole different ballgame. It's all to what the
Sure.
strong song is. So if it's a song I've written, whatever the strong point of that song is, it's like the song kind of steers you when you're in the studio with it. You let it kind of guide you. And that's true with my stuff, and especially when I'm working with other people's stuff. A lot of
Mhm.
these other younger bands I work with is on I try and tell them that to let just kind of go with this and let's see where the song's trying to take us. But there's a lot more in this day and age. There's a lot more sort of tightening, like I said, of production because my this Lost and Found song is standing out right now. Well, because what you picked up on too is it really does sound different. It's pretty loose at times in a different kind of manner, not loose like off the tracks loose,
No,
but
no,
it's
no, no,
just
no.
production doesn't sound like now they production on purpose. And I've had digs on that in the past, and even on this song, where people want that, some of the media or press, where they want that sound because they're used to hearing everything so tight, and so it kind of throws them off that I'm not using auto tune
Yeah.
or pitch or
I hear that, but I disagree with it. I think
yeah,
that
it's teach.
everyone, yeah,
And I get that there's some, the majority of music nowadays is very well slickly produced, and I get that, and that's fair. And so that's what people are trained to hear now. And so when you don't do everything, if you let something go a little out of key in a part, because I'm not going to fix that vocal note. I like the sound of the
sure.
inflection of the voice. You know,
Well, it makes it
people are,
sound real. It makes it sound like there's a human behind there instead of
yeah,
just like this perfect robot who's, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And like, I don't know.
I'm not calling anybody out, because I like a lot of the current stuff, but
It's just,
that's
yeah,
it's very
there's
a
a time and a
process.
place. There's time and a place.
And a phone call. Let me hang up on this person. Didn't know it was on the same
All good.
line. All right, now I'm back.
There we go.
But
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I
so
completely understand. I, there's definitely like there's a pressure to be as polished and pristine as possible. But I think that, I don't know, just like reviewers as a whole, they need to look into the genre. They need to look into the type of music you're making, the message that's coming out, and say, does it seem necessary? Is it giving them an edge? Like what's really
yeah,
going on here?
that's
So
what you
oh
hope.
man.
But yeah, I'm not faulting people that kind of
Oh,
just look at things with more blanket kind of, or
right,
basically kind of lumping everything together
right.
in a especially with production, because people get used to hearing certain things,
I get it.
and they're just kind of trained. Then their ears been trained. Whether it's like reverbs come back, and in the '90s, grunge did away with reverb on vocals and guitars. It was very dry and it made it very present. And now everything's back more of an '80s sound where it's a really massive amount of reverb, whether it's you
Yeah.
know Billie Eilish or anything that's out right now. And I don't mind that either. So
No, man.
it just sort of trains people now. If everything went dry, people would be really thrown off. And sometimes I do that on purpose. I put out a song recently that had no reverb or anything on the vocal. It was just dry.
Right. I get
It
it.
threw some people way off. Like, I don't understand what I'm hearing here. So well, it's just what it sounds like.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah, man. So, it's funny. I don't often get the opportunity to talk to people that have been in the business for a while or have had experiences. So, I kind of want to switch things up here. And I want to know, is there something that, if you could go back 30 years, that young Chris would tell current Chris, things that you would change whether it comes to making music or just like the industry in general?
Yeah, that's about the hardest question in the world. I mean, it's
It
great.
doesn't have to be one thing either.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so many things, and it's like,
Sure,
where do I
sure.
start? But I mean, if I guess if people were asking advice, because I've this is the only job I've had, I've been very blessed to make a good living doing this,
Yeah.
and success with it, to be able to feed myself and family and everything with it. But I think Taylor Swift has said it recently, but somebody told me a long time ago. They didn't say get a good lawyer. They said you should become friendly with some lawyers. I mean, you're going to need them. So if you really start going up the food chain, you want
Yeah,
to lawyer. So you want to make sure that the small the big print, the small print take away from the big print. Make sure they read the fine print. Uh,
that's
uh,
like, you know what? That's the advice that I think that like independent artists that listen or watch this probably need to hear the most. It's
they
not like, don't do as many drugs or don't drink as much, which,
yeah,
do what you want.
their
But
problem.
like
Yeah.
when it comes to the legal and business side of music, that's when you need to pay attention the most because you will get taken advantage of.
Yeah, and in the early stages, you don't have to worry about it too much. Sometimes people are overly cautious about
I,
everything that
I get it.
they're trying to rob you or steal you, or somebody's going to steal my song, and
Right.
there's not this big black market of song stealing going on or
Sure.
anything. So, and everything's kind of you get a default copyright at this point when you're just recording stuff on a computer because it's time stamping everything.
Exactly.
$1 million song, you take your hard drive into court and they could go,
Here you
that's what
go.
I recorded. But it's more as if you start kind of getting somewhere, or people start talking to you about different deals, and also understanding if you
Totally.
go to into other studios and people's studios that there's a lot of stuff. Not to get in the weeds on a music business program, but
Yeah.
the copyright laws changed in 2018 with Congress, and so there's a
Oh,
lot of changes in that copyright law that is across the board, to where you just need to understand stuff, and any half decent entertainment lawyer that messes with proper entertainment, music and stuff, not just a civil person or something, but entertainment, they'll know those ins and outs a little bit of just basically production deals and different things with studios. And if somebody plays on your stuff and you don't have them sign off technically right now on publishing or royalties, and they just play the bass on it there and the song blows up, they have a right to a royalty on that as like a right.
totally.
So you have to understand little things like that. So I've got great lawyers and I enjoy the music business too. So I've read about it, but I also have very good lawyers that I've worked with for years and years and years. So
Nice.
they can look over your shoulder. But that's when you go up the food chain a little bit. If you're just starting out, just go out there and get your music out and
I
just do
love
what you
it.
got to do.
No,
And
that's a fantastic answer.
there's not much I'd change. I mean, there's so many things I would say I should have done this and that, but I don't do 2020 hindsight. It's too late.
Sure.
Look in the past. But basically, I think the best advice that I would have given myself back then, I was shy, and I grew up in the South, and I moved to Hollywood, California, and I'm by myself. And so there was a learning curve of just trying to get my own sort of confidence at that age, at 18. But I should have not been so sort of shy at first, and not be in everybody's face, but just
Yeah.
kind of don't have the confidence to go, you know what, I'm okay here, and I know what I'm doing a little bit, and believe in yourself to where you get out there and put your stuff out there and let people hear it, and not just record stuff in your bedroom or your garage or wherever, and just kind of say, well, one day I'm going to release it. If you like it and you're happy with it, just put it out. Don't worry about what people say, because I mean, the bigger you get, you're going to get a lot more haters. So that's the
That's
way.
true. Well, the more haters, the better, I say.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing
You never know.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
So, all
anyway.
right, on the other side of that, looking throughout your career when you're making a song, is there something that you look forward to the most in the process? Whether it be like the thinking about what it's going to be, the writing, the recording, the production, any part of it.
The whole process was really fun because it's like baking a cake. The one thing that I always look for in music, and this is my music and all the artists I work with, and
Yeah.
probably stamping on the walls in this building, or I don't have any tattoo. I guess I get tattoo, but I always tell everybody I want pretty and gritty. I like stuff to be. I need prettiness in the song,
Sure.
but that grit, some sort of edge. I can't just have all pretty, because then that's just going to be too vapid and just too lush. So like I love Lana Del Rey, and Lana Del Rey stuff can be really pretty, but she always had that edge, and that's
Totally.
I need a little of that grit, even if you're doing a lot of thing. So that's the biggest part of me with music is pretty and gritty, pretty and gritty. I gotta have those two things in it or it doesn't work. If it's too gritty, then I'm back in the metal circuit, and that's maybe too much. I don't need that much sort of anger or grit. So I need that little prettiness. But the process itself, the whole thing's fun.
Yeah.
But the engineering part to me can get a little tedious and boring because if you're going to engineer properly, you got to watch the meters and do everything right to record it properly. But the mixing and the producing part's a little more fun. But I get the engineering part too. But sometimes I do prefer having other people engineer and work with me on it because it's just that to do it right. It's just tedious. It's not creative. Technical, and that's like a different part of the music brain. That's like a math thing to me, doing the technical end of it. But the process is great. Just the whole process is great to see. Especially what I was talking about earlier in this talk, is that you think the song is going to be like this, and then if you let the song steer you and let it sort of take over, because it becomes its own little organism of entity that is alive. Sure. And let it, and all of a sudden you thought it was going to be this, and then it ends up this, something totally different over here. And just going through that process is fun because you're like, wow, I didn't think it would end up sounding like that, but that's pretty cool. And that's probably one of the best things about it. Like when mistakes happen in the studio, that's usually where you find like this new avenue or pocket to go with in the song. Go like, oh, that's cool. Let's go that way because that was messed up, but it works.
Right. No, man, everything's a learning experience. I don't think anyone can know it all, even as much experience as you have.
No, I'm still learning every day.
That's awesome.
You die if you don't. If you think you know it all, you're dead. You're done.
Exactly. Close-minded person.
Yeah, you die. Don't stop learning.
I agree. So in a perfect world, what is the next year of your life looking like at this point? Do you have any shows on the horizon? Are you the type of artist that's always working on something else? What's going on?
Well, luckily that things seem to be getting back to normal, especially touring.
Yes.
Because it was a little rough there for a while. But I've got a show on the calendar 29th. I know when it is. It's this Friday, but
nice.
And that's in Atlanta or Duluth, Georgia. Really cool venue. It's a listening room gig. It's a theater that holds about 260 people, but it's a listening room.
Awesome.
So acoustic show, but everybody's listening. You can hear pin drops.
Sure.
Your guitar's in tune. So that's in Duluth, Georgia, and that's Eddie Owen Presents. It's called Red Clay Foundry Theater. Cool. And then I've got more shows coming up, and I was supposed to be in Los Angeles at the Whiskey a couple of weeks ago, so I've got a reschedule on that coming out. So I'll go out on the back home out to the West Coast and be playing out there some. And then I'm hoping to get to London in June. Sweet. The third week of June is what it's looking like right now. So I'm going to just do a lot of live shows, and I'm blessed with this studio in this building, so I can record when I want. So I'll keep putting, I'm not going to put an EP or album out. I'm just going to keep dropping singles. I'm happy doing that.
Man.
Instead of trying to put out a concept album. I think Pink Floyd beat me to that, and they're pretty good at concept albums.
I would say so.
I think the Wall and Dark Side of the Moon.
Sure.
But so just a bunch of live shows, and also working with these younger bands, which I love doing. That's that learning curve for me. I've learned so much from them because they're new and excited, and they have new ideas and show me new concepts. So I really love that, working with new artists. And so just more of the same. It's just fun. I can get back out and start traveling and play shows and go to different cities where we couldn't do that for quite a while. Doing Zoom concerts, which are really awkward and weird.
Yeah, I have not participated in watching or playing, but I can't imagine. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to roll with the punches, I suppose.
I've seen a lot in 30 years of playing, but the COVID Zoom thing was, and I saw that one coming. That was that was a learning curve for everybody.
Totally.
So, but it's just more of the same, and then just music is life, and that's my name of my production company, and awesome. And that's what it is to me. It's all what I do every day, 7 days a week. I just do music all the time. I'm very lucky because I could be going, "Would you like fries with that, sir?" Or
yeah, that's sure, man.
I'm one step away from that. I always keeps you hungry and keeps you focused. I don't want to be doing some other job. So
I got it. Yeah, man. This has been a fantastic conversation. I have one more question for you at this point. And basically what I want to know is For the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that's going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
That's a big question too. I think just if you come and you stumble upon me on your shuffle or your discovery playlist or something, just keep an open mind. Listening to what I'm doing. So just that's the most important thing is just listen not just with your eyes but your ears because there's some I've got some cool videos out and some cool lyric videos and stuff. And but maybe don't go to the YouTube thing. No offense to YouTube, they're great, but maybe just keep your eyes closed and just listen to what I got to say. If you can't understand me, I think that my lyrics are all over the internet too. You just
There you
Google
go.
them, and there's some of them are
Do that too.
wrong, but some people are close. That's one of my favorite things to do too. Is figure out what I'm saying. I can't even understand myself sometimes, and put it on the lyrics.com or whatever it is, and see if we got it right because there's some interesting interpretation of lyrics there.
I think
So
that's a fantastic answer, man.
yeah,
Chris, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. And if you're in Los Angeles and you reschedule that show, let me know. I would love to go,
absolutely.
please. And let me plug your music one more time. The song is called Lost and Found, but no surprise at all. There's plenty of more music to check out and listen and share and stream and do all that fun stuff. We're obviously going to have links so people can follow along and stay up to date. But yeah, man, I'm personally invested at this point. I can't wait to see what else you put out. And I want to thank you just once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody just keep your eyes on the tour schedules and stuff on your Spotify or
There you
wherever you
go.
there's a link to that. So I'm gonna travel a good bit this summer coming up because I've already
Gonna
got
be
stuff
around.
all over the US. So just look for my name and stuff popping out and come out and say hi, and we'll get you on stage to jam or something.
There you go.
All
Very
right,
cool, man. Well,
right
I
on,
hope you
man.
have, yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day and I hope to speak soon.
All right, peace.
See you later. Bye bye.